Delmarva Today with Don Rush.
A rocket launch at the Wallop's flight facility this week. The Maryland governor issues some 175,000 pardons for cannabis violations. Environmentalists push back on plans for cutting down some old-growth trees in the Pocomoke Forest. The nation celebrates Juneteenth. We'll look at its significance in these turbulent times. Welcome to Delmarva Today. This is Don Rush. In our studio this afternoon is Coastal Point reporter Susan Canfor. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Don.
Well, so, Susan, there was another rocket launch from Wallops, this time with some experiments by students. What do we know?
We know that early risers were watching that rocket launch from Wallops Island this morning in the wee hours of the morning at 5:30, just as the sun was coming up. And even earlier at 4:30, the Wallops Visitor Center viewing areas were open, and the launch was live streamed on the Wallops YouTube channel. For those who didn't want to get up that early and drive to Virginia, there are also updates on the Facebook page. More than 50 teams of faculty and students got involved in sending experiments into space. It was part of NASA's Rock On and RockSat-C student flight programs. Joyce Winterton, with senior management team at the NASA flight facility, oversees the student program Rock On and RockSat.
We actually had several of the students telling us this is really a life-changing experience. They're actually going through the same reviews you would as a scientist or an employee for a university doing a NASA mission. So it really helps them understand how to work in a team, how to meet deadlines. And most of them say it really is an experience that puts them on that path into the aerospace industry. They know they want to be part of the industry, whether it's a scientist, engineer, business person. It really helps us recruit our future workforce.
Rock On launched from Wallops on a Terrier-improved Orion sounding rock. There was a Rock On workshop, an introductory flight opportunity for university students and also for those attending community colleges. They spent a week at the Wallops flight facility where they learned the process of building and launching an experiment aboard a sounding rocket. Through July 2nd, NASA will fly aircraft over towns including Baltimore and Philadelphia, plus parts of Virginia and even California. And that's being done to collect information about air pollutants and greenhouse gas emissions. East Coast flights will be until June 26th. A NASA P-3 aircraft from Wallops will fly over some East Coast locations, collecting what they call measurements, and those measurements will be used to make decisions that affect air quality and climate. And that's according to a research scientist for the campaign at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland.
And close at home, the Maryland governor, Wes Moore, announced that he was issuing pardons for some 175,000 who had been convicted of cannabis violations. As you know, of course, recreational marijuana has been legalized in the state. How significant is this? That's a fairly large group of people.
Very large group. We saw a sweeping move by Governor Wes Moore this week, so sweeping that even he called it unprecedented in the country's history. The governor pardoned thousands of Maryland residents convicted of marijuana-related crimes, an incredible number, more than ever in the country's history. More than 175,000 marijuana convictions were forgiven on Monday this week, as news analysts and the governor's actions are the results of the drug being legalized. Here's what is being forgiven: low-level possession charges and paraphernalia charges for about 100,000 people.
I will grant pardons to Marylanders who have been convicted for misdemeanor possession of cannabis. And second, I will grant full pardons to Marylanders who have been convicted of certain misdemeanor possession crimes of drug paraphernalia. So we aren't nibbling around the edges. We are taking actions that are intentional, that are sweeping, and unapologetic. And this is the largest such action in our nation's history.
Some are having more than one conviction forgiven. Moore said it was time for a change, and he talked about how both government and society view those who have been walled off from opportunity because of broken and uneven policies. He said being convicted of marijuana crimes for many people has meant trouble getting housing, good jobs, and even better educations. And the Attorney General here in Maryland, Anthony Brown, had even stronger words, saying the deeply rooted bias in drug-related arrests and sentencing is even related to slavery. You might recall that 2 years ago, voters in Maryland approved a constitutional amendment to legalize marijuana. Marylanders fall right in line with the majority of Americans when they were polled in a Gallup survey in late 2023. 70% said, yes, cannabis should be legalized. That's a marked increase from 9 years earlier, but only 50% said, yes, let's legalize cannabis and related products. One interesting aspect of the mass pardon is that it even extends to those who have died. But it doesn't mean those in jail or on drug charges will be released. Neither is it analogous to expungement, the governor said. What it does mean is that Governor Moore has ordered Maryland's Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services to change individual criminal records. He asked them to find a way to do that, and that will require each individual pardoned to still petition the court.
Now, of course, closer to home here in Wicomico County, the Wicomico County Council has voted to put the elimination of the county executive position on the ballot. To give you an idea of just how contentious it was this last session, here's County Executive Julie Giordano firing a shot across the bow at the council members.
I'm disappointed in 5 of you. Not surprised. Neither's hardly anybody in this room, but disappointed. You continually make decisions to undermine my office and hurt the morale of the employees and stop the progress of our county. I'm letting you know for the next 5 months, we're going to be doing everything to ensure that this ballot initiative fails because we cannot go backwards.
So it sounds as if it was a pretty feisty Julie Giordano, committed to making sure that she gets in the fray. And as she has said, if this thing goes through, she intends to try to get on the council.
Yes, she does. Feisty as always and not giving up. After much discussion and disagreement and irritation and comments at a recent public hearing, the Wicomico County Council voted to have a referendum in November so residents can decide if they would like to keep or eliminate the office of county executive. At their meeting this week, the council voted, and the idea to have a referendum passed 5-2. Only Councilman Josh Hastings and James Wynn were opposed. The county executive, Julie Giordano, said not only is this a personal attack, but she doubts the referendum will pass. And if it does, she said, she isn't giving up. She's going to run for council, and she's going to win, she said, and still have a say in how the Wicomico County government is run. Doing away with her office, she said, would mean the council is progressive or thinking about its future, but it would mean that they would move backward. She's concerned residents will vote to eliminate her office without giving it much thought, but the majority of the council says we have to do this because it will make us more efficient. Council President John Cannon has been one of the most outspoken proponents of no longer having a county executive's office. The council ends up having to tackle what the county executive should be handling, Cannon said, or they hear about some other problem from her office, or they get documents later than they ask for them. Even if voters eliminate the position, Giordano won't be gone right away. She will be in office, and the office will be in the county executive building until her term is up in 2 years.
And it was indeed a very contentious session with a number of the council members trying to push back on some of the allegations or charges that certainly she made. So we expect a very hot race in terms of whether or not this thing gets passed or not gets passed.
A hot race and a hot referendum, absolutely.
There you go. We also have Ocean City is cracking down on displays on the boardwalk. As you know, we are used to seeing this merchandise like T-shirts and all those sort of things out and outside the shops, burgeoning on, as it were, the boardwalk. We're going to, I guess, increase some fines.
Yes, they are. If you walk up and down the boardwalk in Ocean City, you'll notice T-shirts and hats on display, henna tattoos and piercings being offered, racks of shirts and hats outside the stores. So they are easily seen and they're tempting for shoppers. Now, the town has rules about what can be outside and how large. For example, nothing over 5 feet high, unless it's a kite flying or a beach umbrella, something like that. But displays can't be in the boardwalk right-of-way. Businesses that don't follow these rules have been given warnings, verbal warnings, then written warnings. Then if they still don't comply, fines could have been up to $1,000. That's how it used to be. But this week, the council passed an emergency ordinance, meaning it did not require a second reading, to be more strict with how that space outside shops is governed. Now, the new rule is there's a $500 fine on the first offense, then a $1,000 fine on second offense. But that doesn't mean everybody will get fined right away on first offense. The council decided that police officers, if they see fit, should have the discretion to issue a written warning on the first offense.
So, Susan, there's some restrictions there on houseboats in Ocean City.
Yeah, they're going to be completely restricted. If you ever thought it might be fun to stay on a houseboat for a week or so when you vacation in Ocean City, well, you won't be able to do that. This week, the Ocean City Council banned what they called commercial use and occupancy of houseboats in the town limits of Ocean City. They passed an ordinance that put the ban into effect immediately. There's a company called Sea Rocket. You might have seen that big Sea Rocket tourist boat out in the ocean going back and forth many times. The owner of that company wanted to rent houseboats, but the town council said, no, that violates town code. You can't do that because marinas in Ocean City, according to the town's comprehensive plan, are for marine activities only, and they're not residential areas. But the owner of the Sea Rocket, Will Wangle, has been talking to local news agencies and, not surprisingly, saying he disagrees with that city council decision because he said, why not allow it? It's not going to hurt anybody, and it really isn't unsafe, right? In fact, on the Sea Rocket website, www.searocket.com, houseboat vacations are being advertised, or were being advertised, with 1 or 2 bedrooms, Wi-Fi, full kitchenettes, much like hotel rooms. And they are described on that website as a brand new floating houseboat nestled in a private marina in the heart of downtown Ocean City. But the ordinance did pass, and Mayor Rick Meehan said that ordinance is important because it contains language specific to houseboats, so it's back to hotels and RVs for vacationers in Ocean City.
Now, also in Ocean City, we've got, this is obviously Pride Month, and they are going to have a drag show in Ocean City. What do we know about that? And are there any concerns about any pushback in terms of the community?
There are. My understanding is there is a concern about pushback in the community. The Ocean City Art League on 94th Street is going to have the drag show Friday night at 7 o'clock. There are 3 drag queens performing. 1 or 2 of them are from Salisbury. 1 for sure is from Salisbury. My understanding is the police have been asked to be there just in case there's any pushback, as you say. But it's planned, and there are people who are looking forward to it, and it is to help celebrate and observe Pride Month.
So are you going to go?
Yes, I'll be there. I'll be there for us, and I'll be there just to enjoy it.
So describe for us what these shows are like.
We know we had one at Pride Month last year in Salisbury when we had the parade here last June in downtown Salisbury, and they're a lot of fun. The drag queens have a lot of fun. They dance and they interact with the audience, and the people just love it. They put dollar bills in their hands and $5 bills in their hands, and they go into the audience and ask for money. I'm not sure if they'll do that at the Art League, but that's what they did in downtown Salisbury last year. There's a lot of music, a lot of dancing and interaction, and people have fun, and they talk and meet each other, meet new people, make new friends, and it's always a lot of fun. So this is the second thing that the Art League has done. Last Friday night, they had a series of movies to celebrate Pride Month, and I was there for that too, and it was pretty interesting. They were short, independent films, but there were about 5 people there. It wasn't very well attended, but the people who were there really enjoyed it.
You also, by the way, have had a Pride parade, I guess, at least in the past in Ocean City, correct?
In Ocean City, they have. In Ocean City, Salisbury's is planned for June 29th. Right. So we'll have another one here as well.
Right, and I also recall that I think there was also a parade of some kind on the boardwalk.
On the boardwalk last year for Pride Month as well. Yes.
So also, finally, we have this iconic restaurant, Going Nuts, which I've gone to. Apparently, it is closing its doors after some 32 years. What do we know?
I have too many times. I love the baked brie. It was one of my favorite things on the menu. The owners are Russ and Shirley Horn. They've been friends of mine and my parents before they died for many years. We went there all the time. They're very nice people. And unfortunately, after 32 years, they put something on Facebook saying that because of financial concerns and health concerns, they would have to close their doors in early June. I think it was June 2nd when they closed. So they're no longer there, and it's unfortunate because it was such a popular place. People gathered there for bands. They sat out on the patio, and they enjoyed talking to Shirley and Russ for many years. It's going to be missed. It really is. On Mount Herman Road, as most people know, it's a shame that it had to close. But they've been having some trouble for a while, as Shirley told me, and that's the end of Going Nuts.
So I mean, this is just a matter of economics then?
That's my understanding. There was health problems in the family and also financial problems trying to keep it open. I think after COVID, a lot of people just couldn't recover. And I'm not sure if that was their problem, but they did cite that on their Facebook page.
We've been speaking with Susan Canfora. She's a reporter for Coastal Point. Appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us.
My pleasure, as always.
You're listening to Delmarva Today. This is Don Rush.
Delmarva Today with Don Rush.